Thank you guys so much for coming back. Let me finish admitting everyone. All right, guys, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Who is on Your Texas Ballot. Do we have any Texas voters in the house? Yeah, I see some hands raised. All right, so my name is Idora Caldwell. I am the campaign marketing manager for Judge Frizell, and I will be moderating tonight Who's on Your Texas Ballot. We're going to hear from Judge Frizell in just a minute, but before we get into that, guys, so once again, we're all on this video chat. Why? Because we want to know who is on our Texas ballot. And as you know, Judge Frizell and a lot of other candidates that you guys are going to be hearing from tonight are running statewide races. We're also going to hear from some other candidates in various pockets around Texas, but for the most part, this whole Who is on Your Texas Ballot is going to be focused on statewide races. So no matter where you are in the state of Texas, this is where you need to be tonight. So thank you so much for logging on. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. So the first thing, I'm going to share my screen because I want to show you guys how you can actually find your Texas ballot no matter where you are in the state of Texas, because as you know, your ballot is going to look different whether you're in Dallas County, Collin County, Harris County, and the various counties around Texas. So let me share my screen and let me post the link. Hold on, guys. I'm going to post the link in the chat, so if you guys want to follow along with me, if you're on your computers, you can do that as well. There we go. I've posted that in the chat, and then let's get to it. So hold on. It's a lot going on over here. All right. So I am on the website that I just posted into chat. And here in the Texas Secretary of State website, of course, you would click on 2020 because that is the election year. You would also click on your race, which is all the way at the bottom, which is the 2020 November 3rd general election. And then you can also, and then over here, you would select your county. So as you see, there are multiple counties that are showing up. Every county in the state of Texas is on this list. Of course, I'm in Dallas County, so I am going to choose Dallas, and then I'm going to click on ballot information. And then here is where it actually shows you everyone that is on your ballot in the exact order that it is actually going to show up. So if you didn't know that, now you know, because once again, everybody's ballot is going to look different, especially once you get down looking into the local races. So this is definitely where you want to look up your candidates, and also where you can you know, print this out, highlight the people that you know that you specifically want to vote for, so that when you go to the polls, you will be informed. So does anybody have any questions about that?
No.
No? Awesome. All right. That's pretty straightforward. All right. So once again, guys, Judge Frizell will be joining us in just a second. If you have questions for Judge Frizell or for any of the other candidates, please put your questions inside of the chat. I will be checking that periodically, and I will be addressing those questions. So when they're on cue, they will be able to answer. All right. So first up, let's actually get an idea of who your candidates are.
Texas is the biggest battleground state. Texas is the biggest battleground state. And in 2020, we have the opportunity to turn our state blue up and down the ballot. We have the opportunity to expand access to affordable health care, finance our public schools, strengthen our economy, and take meaningful action.
Hold on 1 second. Machine controls.
Texas is the biggest battleground state. And in 2020, we have the opportunity to turn our state blue up and down the ballot. We have the opportunity to expand access to affordable health care, finance our public schools, strengthen our economy, and take meaningful action on gun violence. There's so much more in the United States.
We have the opportunity to pave the way towards a more sustainable future at the Texas Railroad Commission.
We have the opportunity
To elect judges
and the justices
who will restore fairness,
equality and balance in our courts.
We have the opportunity to shape the political future of Texas and repair the broken systems
that disenfranchise working families in our great state.
We have the opportunity to ensure that Texans in positions of power,
embrace empathy,
Open minds
and swing open the doors of possibility.
by working together,
and uniting behind our shared vision of a more inclusive world, we will win back our state.
We will win because we have to. We have to put an end to the hate, the lack of access, and the suffering. We have to deliver on the fair shot that every Texan deserves.
Our cause
Our movement,
is about the restoration of justice and the expansion of opportunity.
none of this can be accomplished unless we work together. In order to bring lasting change to Texas, we must work alongside every down ballot candidate, every activist, and every Texas Democrat to continue building the largest democratic movement our state has ever seen.
We're asking you to be a part of this historic fight.
together, we will create a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Together, we will save Texas and in turn, save the entire country.
Join us.
Join us.
All right. So those are all of our candidates that are running statewide. Hello, Judge Frizell. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Good. So next up on the agenda, we have the roll call. So where are all of our attendees around the state? Where are you?
Dallas.
All right, Dallas is in the house. Who else do we have in the house?
Houston.
Houston.
All
All right, Houston. Who else do we have on the chat today?
Midland.
Midland, hi.
Midland's in the house. All right, who else? Do we have anybody else in the house? Where are you at?
Plano.
Plano. All right, Collin County. Yes, where else do we have? Do we have anywhere else?
Lubbock. Lubbock. Hey,
Look, okay. Anybody else?
DeSoto.
DeSoto.
DeSoto, Texas.
That's what's up. All right, we just got a few more people coming in. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Anybody else in the house? Roll call.
Lancaster.
Okay.
Lancaster, yes.
Big Lancaster.
Mesquite is here.
Mesquite, Texas. There you go.
Yay. Yes. Mesquite, where you at?
Thank you.
All right, so I didn't hear you. Who was that?
Cedar Hill.
Cedar Hill. Okay, Cedar Hill in the house. Now you look. If anybody didn't know, that was Judge Frizell's husband. Hi, Marvin.
He was trying to be incognito.
He's trying to sneak on in the chat, like, we know you in the same house with Judge Frizell, boo.
We're going to have him give a long speech in just a moment. He's getting his notes together.
Yeah.
Right.
Texarkana.
Texarkana, yeah.
Hey, Armani.
Hey, Judge Frizell. Hey, Idora.
Hi, Armani. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Out here campaigning right now.
Right. Get it in. So as you see, we have a wonderful sampling of voters from around the state. Woo woo, Texas, go Texas.
Yeah.
We're gonna we're going to vote blue. We're going to vote blue. And the lady of the hour who is going to tell you why you should vote. God, why can you say that? The lady of the hour that's going to tell us why you should vote blue is none other than Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizell. You have got the floor, Mama.
Go.
It's on you, Judge.
Hey, who's ready to vote? Who's ready to vote? I am ready to vote right now. I can't wait till October 13th. I'm not waiting till November 3rd. I don't know about you. The first day that is available to vote, that's when I'm voting. I'm Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizell. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. I do know that there are a lot of different things that you all could be doing today, but you're spending your time with me. And I hope that means you want to become an informed voter. Some of you are already informed voters, but you just want to find out a little bit more about the people who will be on the ballot. And we're going to do that for you today in just 1 hour, an hour of your time when you show up either on October 13th or through October 30th or November 3rd. Whenever you vote, you'll know who you're voting for. I appreciate your time, and I want you to know that this is a calling for me. This is something I've been working on for 27 years. That's when I first started practicing criminal law 27 years ago. Shout out to Travis, Mason. I see you in Titus. I don't know if you're in Titus right now, but you tuned in. That's my boy, Travis. You see, I have so many fighters for justice, and that means so much to me because some of you have been here with me since my first campaign back in 06, or in 10 or 16, or some of you are still with me from the DA race. And what I want you to know is we're taking it to a higher level because now we're able to affect justice, not just in Dallas County, but throughout the entire state of Texas. There are still people who are wrongfully convicted in the penitentiary. I know some of you know that. Some of them are your friends, your relatives. We just want fair justice on the highest criminal court. And this happens to be the court that hears the death penalty cases. This happens to be the court that reviews all the papers of the trial court judges throughout the state of Texas, of the appellate court judges throughout the state of Texas. How important is that to you that we have fair judges on the court? I think justice should be fair for all, not just for some. But do you know there's a perception right now that our justice system is not fair for all? That people who have money get a better shake than the people who don't have money. That shouldn't be the perception of Texas justice, and it most definitely shouldn't be a reality. But we're about to change that on November 3rd. Thank you all for tuning in, and I don't want to spend all the time talking. I want to hear from you. If you all have questions that you want to ask about what does the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals do? How does that affect my life? Put it in the chat. I'm going to answer those questions. If you have questions about me, my experience, my campaign, the 27 years I've been fighting for criminal justice, the 20 years I've been a judge on the bench at every level other than the appellate level. And now it's time. It's time to take me to the appellate level. Take me to the highest court, from the lowest court to the highest court, from East Texas to West Texas. We have Armani here from East Texas. We have Dr. Buck here from West Texas and Midland. We have from Houston all the way up to North Texas, here in Dallas, Collin County, McKinney, and that's how we're gonna win it. If you're in a big city like Houston, Dallas, Austin, if you're in a small rural city, in the primary, I've been to your city, I bet you, Freestone County, are you here? Brazoria County, Waller County, my hometown, Prairie View A&M University, Waller County. Is anybody here from PVU? You know. And I've traveled this entire state. Now I can't do that because of COVID. But the one advantage of COVID is now I can be all over Texas at one time virtually. Do you know how much we can spread the message of the good judges who are running for the highest courts in Texas? It's not just me. That's right. It gets better. It's not just me. I'm not alone. I have people with me. There are 3 judges running on the Democratic ticket for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. There are 4 judges running for the Supreme Court. Have you ever thought about the gerrymandering that goes on in the state of Texas? This is census year. You have to apply, you have to fill out your form for the census so you can be counted. Well, what do they do with that census? They count each person so they can determine who your representatives are and how many representatives we get. Every 10 years they do that, and every 10 years there's a lawsuit from one side or the other. Guess where that lawsuit ends up? That's right, in the Supreme Court. Who are your judges on the Supreme Court? How many of you can name any of the judges on the Supreme Court? That's okay. That's not meant to embarrass you, because you'll be able to name them after tonight, because I'm going to introduce some of them to you. Thank you for tuning in. You'll hear more from me in just a minute. Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizell for Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3. I think you're on mute, Idora.
There we go. Thank you.
There you go.
I muted myself so you could have the floor. All right, so I see a few of our statewide candidates that have jumped into the meeting. First up, and once again, they have 1,000 other Zoom meetings, so we're gonna interject them really quick so that they can introduce themselves and jump on back off. So BB, Judge Brandon Birmingham, I see you. You are up next.
Hey, it's good to see you all. What a great day. What a wonderful opportunity that we are on the cusp of. Early voting starts on October the 13th, but there's a bigger deadline before that. I want to make sure that everybody is registered to vote. The last day that you can confirm that you are is October the 5th, which is Monday. You cannot be heard unless you're registered. I don't know if that rhymes or not. All right, listen, you've got some great candidates on the slate, and you're going to meet some of them tonight. I'm honored and proud and privileged to run with Judge Frizell in this great statewide slate of candidates. You know what we're going to do? We're going to bring common sense back. We're going to bring fairness back. We're going to bring what we've been missing so much in these courts, which is access to justice. The law should apply equally to everybody without regard to race, color, creed, gender, identity, or resources. And once we do that, we're going to restore your confidence in our criminal justice system from the top all the way down to the bottom. There's one thing I could leave you with. It's this. Please don't stop at the top. We don't have a straight ticket anymore. They took that away, just like they took away the ballot places where you could drop off today. Governor Abbott took that away. And I don't know about y'all, but it's almost like they don't want us to vote. And I think the best thing to do is just vote in record numbers, and I think we're about to do that. So thank you very much. And my name is Brandon Birmingham. Vote blue all the way through.
All right. Thank you, Judge Birmingham.
Yes, ma'am.
And while we make this transition, I have known Judge Birmingham for years. And he's one of the best judges at the court. I can't say that about every judge. and I won't say it unless I believe it. I've been a colleague of his on the bench. I've tried cases in front of him. We need fair judges like him on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. I'm hoping that we'll all get there together, Judge Brandon Birmingham and I, Judge Tina U. Clinton and I, and then we can really make justice more fair for all. We're this close. If you all will tell 10 people, and not just tell them, help them get to the polls. Ask them, do you have a voting plan? What day are you voting as far as early voting? Ask them if they're going to vote early. Ask them if they have a ride to the polls. Ask them if they have a voting plan, because this is going to be an unusual election year. I think you know that. I know that. Make sure they vote early and help them get out to the polls. If everyone within the sound of my voice tells at least 10 people and helps them develop a voting plan of when they will vote, how they will vote, where they will vote, we can win this. I don't think some of you realize how close we are. We are going to win on November 3rd. We can't do it alone, but we can do it with you. And conversations like this is what's going to do it. Please tell everybody in Texarkana. Please tell everybody in Titus. Please tell everyone in Midland. Tell everyone throughout the state. We have an exciting, dynamic, and the most experienced slate of candidates running on the Democratic ticket. Vote all the way up and all the way down. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. I know you know there's no more straight ticket voting for this election. This is the first time that has happened. And that's going to be interesting, but we're not going to let that deter us. Every candidate will have a D in front of their name or an R in front of their name. Just vote D. You can vote Democratic, just not with one button. Go all the way down. When you get down the ballot, if it's taking too long, keep going. If you don't recognize names, keep going. You know why you don't recognize some of the names? Do you know how much money it costs to make sure everyone in your voting district knows who you are, how good of a candidate you will be? That's why I'm saying vote up and down, not just because they're Democrat, but because I have investigated these candidates and we have an excellent slate all the way up and all the way down. So even if they didn't happen to raise enough money for you to know who they are, please press their name, because that's a Republican trick to hope you'll get tired, voter fatigue. And as you get to the lower candidates, which are the local candidates, which affect you the most, they hope you'll get tired of voting. And then your local candidates that decide on divorces, child support, custody, who goes to jail, who doesn't, who's free on bond, who's not, any civil dispute, auto accident, they're hoping you get tired when you get to those races. And those are the races that affect you most directly. Don't fall for the trick. Vote all the way up and all the way back down the ballot. Vote blue all the way through.
All right, Judge Frizell, thank you for that wonderful transition. Next up, we have Miss Amy Clark Meachum.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you all for having me here, and thank you to Liz for doing this great event. One of the great things about running statewide has been getting to know these great judges from all around the state, and Judge Frizell, former Judge Frizell, is definitely one of those. My name is Judge Amy Clark Meachum, and I am proud to be the Democratic nominee for Chief Justice of the Texas Supreme Court. I will be 5th on your ballot. So the statewide judicial races were number 5 through 11. I'll be 5th on your ballot, and I'm the first woman in Texas history to run for Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Texas. We've never elected a female Chief Justice in Texas history for the Texas Supreme Court. And I am so honored to be running with these 6 other amazing candidates to restore fairness and balance to this all-Republican court that has been all Republican for over 2 decades, along with the Court of Criminal Appeals. We desperately need representation on these courts. We need diversity of thought and diversity of people on these courts to make sure that equal justice for all people, that equal justice under law is for everyone, that access to justice is for everyone. All of us really believe it, and we are Zooming all over the state every night, making sure that our voices are heard so that your voices are heard. As Liz was saying, as Judge Birmingham was saying, we have got to be out there this election season. We have to make a plan to vote, because this Texas Supreme Court that currently exists right now, this all Republican court, they are making it more confusing, more difficult, more challenging for people to vote. Whether it's making confusion for vote by mail, whether it's stopping Chris Hollins in Harris County from sending out vote by mail applications to all registered voters. Everything they're doing right now is making it harder, but we're going to show them, we are going to show them that the voters ultimately decide. And we are going to storm the polls and make sure that we vote Democrats for fair and reasonable and common sense Democratic judges all the way down the ballot. All of us are going to do it, vote for fair and reasonable and common sense Democratic judges from start to finish. If you want to defeat Trumpism in Texas, if you want to ensure equal justice under law for all people, if you are unhappy with America right now, if you are unhappy with Texas right now, give us a voice on these very important courts. It could not be more important. I know you know it because you're here with us tonight. And I just want to say again, to thank you to Liz, thank you to former Judge Frizell for hosting this great event. I'm proud to run with you, and I am proud to represent the Democratic ticket with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Meachum.
All right, next up, we have Justice Gisela Trina Lawrence. You've got the floor, lady.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us here. I'm so excited to be with Elizabeth Davis Frizell, who we have been running with for, I don't know how many months now. It seems like years. I am Justice Gisela Triana. I'm also running for the Supreme Court, along with Judge Amy Clark Meachum, along with Judge Stacey Williams, and along with Kathy Chang. The four of us are running for the Supreme Court, which is the sister court to the Court of Criminal Appeals that Judge Frizell, Judge Birmingham, and Judge Clinton are running for. And we, the seven of us, have been going, but I assume, all over this state to talk to people about how important it is that we do not stop at the top, that everybody votes all the way down. Let me just tell you a little bit about what the Supreme Court has been doing in case you haven't been paying attention. This is a Supreme Court that's trying to make sure that we don't vote. This is a Supreme Court that said, even though we're not immune to COVID-19, that it is okay for us to go ahead and go and stand in line on election day around everybody else to vote, that we cannot vote by mail. This is a Supreme Court who's making it harder for people, not only in Harris County, but everywhere else. They put an end to Chris Holland's being able to send applications for vote by mails to all of the voters in Harris County. This is a Supreme Court that many believe tomorrow will tell us what they're going to do with the suit that wants to prevent the early opening of early voting. We have all been telling everybody, go vote on the 13th. Be ready to vote October 13th. Well, tomorrow the Supreme Court is going to decide whether we get to vote on the 13th or whether they push it back one more week to October the 19th. This is the same Supreme Court that at every single chance they have gotten it, they're making it harder for people to vote. And I say it's time that we put an end to that, that we vote them out of there. Just like we need to take back our White House, just like we need to take back our State House, we need to take back our courthouse. We need to make sure that we've got people on the court, not only that believe the same values that we do, but that look like we do. If we get elected, we have such a groundbreaking barrier slate. I'm so proud to be running with these folks. Judge Amy Clark Meachum is going to be our first woman to ever be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court. Just Kathy Chang, my friend Kathy Chang, will be the first Asian American to ever serve on the Supreme Court. Judge Stacey Williams is going to be our first African American female to ever serve on the Texas Supreme Court. And I'm going to be the first Latina who's democratically elected to serve on the Texas Supreme Court. And over on the other side, you already know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway because it is worth noting. Judge Frizell is going to be the first African American woman to ever serve on the Court of Criminal Appeals.
That's right.
We're going to have Judge Clinton, who's going to be the first ever Asian American to serve on the Court of Criminal Appeals. And of course, Brandon Birmingham is the wonderful man, you know, who is cheering us on, who is happy to be with us, who is our enabler, if nothing else. So, you know, do not stop at the top, vote blue all the way through. Make sure you vote for all of the judges, all of the Democratic judges. And, you know, we're sending much love from Travis County.
All right. Thank you so much,
Gisela.
That was
Justice Triana.
That was awesome. All right, ladies. So now there's a lot of speakers, a lot of guest speakers that we have lined up tonight from literally all across the state of Texas. And first up, we have Carol Robinson, who is the chair of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. Carol, where are you?
Carol may have had another meeting, but I can go on his behalf if need be.
Okay.
Okay.
Carla? Okay, you were actually next up, so that's awesome. All right, hold on. Let me find you so I can highlight you. Give me 2 seconds, Carla. So let me formally introduce Carla. Where'd you go? Okay. Carla, excuse me, Dr. Carla D. Brailey is the vice chair of the Texas Democratic Women. And you've got the floor, lady.
Thank you for that. I'm actually the vice chair of the Texas Democratic Party.
Oh, excuse me.
The whole enchilada.
That's okay. That's okay. So I know that Carol would have said lots of great things. He had another meeting. I have a meeting. As you all know, we're all trying to make sure that you all get in all of these positions. And so that is important for all of us. And so, Frizell, just 1, thank you for running. 2, thank you for being qualified. 3, thank you for being experienced. 4, thank you for being courageous. 5, thank you for saying yes to run. You know, normally they say it takes about 7 times when it says yes to run. I don't know your story in terms of how many times you were asked to run, but thank you. This is a lot of hard work. And if we are not willing to do the work now, then when will we do it? And so I've been on the trail saying the old folks would say, for such a time as this, we've been called to lead, and people are absolutely depending on us to lead in a way that put people at the center. And while it should not really be a party issue, particularly since we're dealing with justice, the reality is, it is right now. The reality is Democrats appear to be doing all that we can to ensure that we perform diversity. It's one thing to talk about diversity, but it is another to execute, to implement, to make sure that we're including, that we are focusing on equity, that everybody gets a fair shot. And that's why we need the right judges. We need the right justices. I put an S on that whenever we can, because people deserve a fair shot at healthcare, economics, education. People deserve to live at the utmost sense of humanity. People deserve to have a high quality of life, and they deserve to come before fair people when we're in a situation that we have to confront the judicial system. We want to make sure that the people that are there are experienced. They have the posture, they have the willingness, they have the demeanor, everything that you need to sense that mercy, that grace, that's all embedded in justice. And so thank you for inviting me to speak. You all just on the ballot. We have to vote literally like our lives depend on it. And that's why I zoom from one meeting to the next. It used to be that I was in rural areas and sometimes I didn't know if I could make it back at a decent hour. And so I know that this has been some dark moments in terms of COVID. But I would say some of the lighter moments is that I can reach these 254 counties, is particularly when I'm invited. And so thank you all, judges, because you are particularly still on the trail, going to some of the areas that even some of us have not been in 2020. But this is an important election. And so I'm hoping that you are working hard. You all know the drill. If you've heard me talk before, if you're working harder, go work harder. If you're already working the hardest, then you go find someone else to train so that they can work harder with you. And make sure people know to have that commit to 5-point plan of voting. When, where, how, I'm forgetting some of the why, who you're voting for. Justice is on the ballot. would you let your voice be heard and make sure that you vote for these judges, all of them? Frizell, I can't even name all of you all because it's so wonderful. There's so many of you all are running. We have someone on every position. Vote blue. And we cannot go blue without every single one of you all. So thank you for having me.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. Brailey.
Thank you, Dr. Brailey. Next up, we have Judge Tina Clinton, who just zoomed in. Tina, are you ready?
Hi, how are you? Hi, thank you so much, Judge Frizell, for having this and for having us. I appreciate it, Ms. Caldwell. It's good to see you. I am very honored to be here. My name is Tina Clinton, and I am your Democratic nominee for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 4. I come right after Liz, so all you have to do is remember to get the people after her and the people above her, and you'll get all of us that way. I am proud to be your Democratic nominee. I just zoomed in from another meeting, and we are all doing our best to make sure that we spread the word. I know that Liz has already told you why this high court is so important. I want to give you some numbers, and Liz, hopefully you left me the numbers, okay? But I want you to remember some of these numbers. Since 1989, not that long ago, there has been 2,673 cases of actual innocence inside the United States. Combined, those 2,673 people have spent 23,950 years in prison for crimes they did not commit. In Texas, we have had 435 cases of actual innocence. And that law that allows for actual innocence in the state of Texas gives that authority to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, the highest criminal court in the state of Texas. We have only had that on the books since 1994. 1994. And I will honestly tell you that this court is not a friend to actual innocence. My opponent does not believe philosophically that there is anyone who is actually innocent. He has written it in multiple opinions. And so actual innocence is under fire from this court. And I want you to know that we believe that Texans deserve better. We know that the criminal justice system can make mistakes. We know that justice is not blind. How do we know that? Because of that 2,673 people that have been found actually innocent since 1989 in the United States, 47% of those that have been found actually innocent are African American people that are overrepresented inside the system, right? 13% of the population, 47% of actually innocent. The 53% doesn't mean all white. 53% are then divided amongst white, Hispanic, and other. And of the DNA exonerations in the United States, 67% are African American individuals that are being held. We know that justice isn't blind. We know that there are mistakes inside the criminal justice system. We're not saying that it's perfect, but we also know that we can do better. We can do better. And the way that we start to make that better and to restore justice and fairness to these benches, to restore confidence in your criminal justice system, is to make sure that when you go to those voting polls, that you hit D from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, and don't ever leave a D blank. Fill in that blank, check that box, do what you gotta do, but make sure you spend the entire time marking that ballot and do not leave a Democrat behind, because that is how we start making sure that our voices are heard, that the right thing is done, and that truth is chased. How long it takes, it doesn't matter. 20 years, 30 years, we need to get it right. And so I want you to make sure that you tell your friends, you make sure that they have plans, you go to the polls, and you make sure that on November the 4th, when we all wake up, that Texas has a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Clinton.
All right, Tina, very, very good. All right, guys. So we've heard a lot of talking, but let's not forget that this is a fundraiser for Judge Elizabeth Frizell, who is running a statewide race. And we need your help. Do not forget that. So at this time, we're going to do a little intermission, and we'll be right back with more guest speakers.
She said, if Ruth and I came of age at a time when there was no discrimination against women, we would be retired partners in a major law firm. People ask me when would you be satisfied with the number of women on the court? When there were 9. For most of the country's history, they were all white men.
So I started at the lowest court, and now I'm going to the highest court. Take me to the highest court.
So guys, that was words from the infamous RGB, Rest in Love. It is very, very important in today's time that we elect justices that reflect our demographic. Right now, the Texas Supreme Court is all white men. Now, nothing wrong with white men, but they do not reflect the demographic of Texas. When, and I'm gonna say when, Judge Frizell is elected, she will be the first African-American Supreme Court judge on the criminal side. There are other justices that are running, just like Judge Triana talked about a second ago, that are also going to be the first of their kind. So it is very important that you not only vote for Judge Frizell, but you vote for the 7 trailblazers. It's very, very important. Please check your chat so that you can donate. You can order a yard sign. You can order literature, whatever you think that you need so that we can get out the vote, so that we can vote blue all the way down the ballot, and so that we can win in November. Your voice is your vote. Make sure that you use it. All right, getting off my soapbox. Next little interim, we also have face masks. Judge Frizell, do you have your face mask on with you?
I think my husband has the face mask.
Oh, does he?
You have your face mask?
There's another room.
Okay.
When we get it.
Get it. All right, guys. So we do have, aren't these beautiful? We do have a custom face mask if you'd like to get one. These were actually created by our soror, Loretta Cox, with the Chosen Closet. So if you guys want to get your custom mask, this is how you vote. And honestly, guys, I was in Corpus Christi last weekend and I saw more Trump masks than I could do away with. So get your mask, vote blue, speak at the polls. All right, so
yes. Oh, I think you're muted, Miss Caldwell.
Am I?
Okay, I hear you now.
Oh, okay. All right. So next up on the list, guys, we have Susan Barrick. Susan, are you in the house? Oh,
yes, I am. Yes, I am. Hello.
All right, Susan. Susan Barrick is the president of the Texas Democratic Women. We're so glad to have you, and you have the floor.
Well, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. It is so inspiring to hear all of these judicial candidates. They are the ones we've been waiting for, I think. Of course, we know that there's a renegade chief executive in the White House. You know the one I'm talking about. And he is so bent on discrediting the election outcome that we are called on to vote in numbers like we have never voted before in Texas. That guy has got to be ejected. And he has a counterpart in the governor's mansion in Austin. Greg Abbott's not on the ballot this time, but we're watching, and the things that he is doing to suppress the vote right now are reprehensible. They are underhanded. One mail ballot drop box in a county the size of Lubbock is just fine. It is not okay in Harris County or Travis County or Dallas. It is just not okay. It is a blatant attempt to suppress the vote. We have got to flip the state legislature. We've got to get that speaker's gavel back in the hands of a Democrat and out of the hands of that sleazebag who's been holding it for the Republicans lately. And that way, when redistricting comes around, we can have Democrats in the saddle and holding the reins so that we can head off in a fair direction with the new lines that are drawn. And God willing, we're going to have people on the court when those lawsuits start flying that have got a point of view different from the one that's there now. So I cannot thank you all enough for running the way you are. You've all, most of you are members of Texas Democratic Women, and we appreciate you. In fact, the first time I met Judge Frizell, former Judge Frizell, was at a TDW meeting. And I was just thankful that she didn't correct me sometimes. Anyway, hopefully I passed. But it would be tremendous to have this new point of view on our courts. The lack of diversity is shameful, and it's time for that to end. So we've all got to vote at the first possible moment, whether it's on the 13th or the 19th. And we've got to get our mail ballots in the mail as soon as we get them. So thank you for having me, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Sue. Good to see you.
Good to see y'all.
All right, thank you so much, Sue. Next up, we have Armani Valentino, who is a candidate for the Commissioner's Court in Bowie. Is it Bowie or Bowie? Bowie County.
Bowie. It's not Commissioner's Court. I'm not candidate for Commissioner's Court. I'm candidate for the Bowie County Judge.
Oh.
Well, come on, Idora. Come on, Idora.
Get me right. Look, I just want you to get me right. Get me right.
Yeah, Idora and I go way back. We went to college at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So, you know. Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? My name is Armani Valentino. I am running for the position of Bowie County Judge, which is the furthest most northeastern county in the state of Texas. It's right on the state line of Arkansas and Texas, and right near Louisiana and Oklahoma as well. So it's a county that affects a lot of the area, and it's 923 square miles. I am the youngest to ever run for the position, and I'm also the first person of color to run for this position. And quick story, I only got 2 minutes, but I told Idora I need 2:45. So when I first started, actually this is probably even before I decided to run, I got on a call with someone at a party that Judge Tina Clinton was at. And I got asked, could I support? And I said, listen, I can't support unless I know specifically what she's going to do for African-American men, young men my age and younger. And she answered the question. She answered the question. It wasn't a question that she was prepped for. And she answered, and I said, well, come on, I will support you all the way. And then she brought Judge Brandon Birmingham, as well as Judge Frizell, and Audrey Spanko as well. And so I'm just excited because this is what the future looks like. The future looks like the individuals who are running right now, where you have Caucasian men, you have Black men, you have Caucasian women, Asian women, Black women, Hispanic women, people of all races, ages, and backgrounds working for the people of the United States, but most importantly right now for the people of Texas. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited. I've been out here campaigning, registering people to vote. They had to hire 4 new people out here at the county to help with the voter registration because they just got overwhelmed. And we're pushing it all the way until tomorrow. We've done 10 apartment complexes just this week alone, large apartment complexes, and have one more day tomorrow where we hopefully able to get more. And so I'm just encouraging everyone to push this thing all the way to the end. I love y'all. I'm praying for all of y'all, and I'm just excited. Y'all really, really motivate me, and I thank y'all for everything you're doing. And God bless y'all. I'll see y'all at the top.
Thank you, Armani. You're gonna win.
Yes, ma'am. You are too. Thank you.
Texas, go East Texas.
Bowie County, Bowie County.
Yes, and one more thing. Any of the candidates, send your stuff here, please. Send your items here, so when we're canvassing, you all, like, we can do a lot of the work out here for y'all, because we don't have enough of you all's stuff here. Okay, so get with me. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. All right, see, there's so many wonderful candidates around the state of Texas. And speaking of that, next up, we have Mrs. Carvana Cloud. Miss Carvana. Oh, there she is. All right, lady.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Carvana.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. My name is Carvana Clown, and I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you this evening. In my capacity as a criminal defense attorney and former Harris County prosecutor, and the Director of Voter Protection for the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. But more than anything, I am excited to join this fundraiser in support of Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizell, my colleague, my friend, my big sister, and my sorority sister, who with all of our help will be the first Black woman to serve on the highest criminal court in the state of Texas, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. The decisions of judges across our state, and especially at the highest court levels, have a tremendous impact and effect on the people and communities who they serve. So we, the people, must be willing to elect judges like Judge Frizell, who understand the ins and outs of our criminal justice system, and who will make sure that our justice system works for everyone, not just a few. As the gatekeepers of justice, Texas' highest courts needs justices like Judge Elizabeth Frizell, who will use their discretion to remedy issues like disparate sentencing by looking at whether or not trial court judges are looking at whether or not mitigating factors such as mental health and issues and drug addictions are taken into account. Judge Elizabeth Frizell will make sure that defendants have a fair trial and that objections and questions and evidence are ruled upon properly at the trial court level. She will also make sure that claims of actual innocence, just like Judge Tina Clinton talked about earlier, will be heard, presented and heard. Finally, the Court of Criminal Appeals needs justices like Judge Elizabeth Frizell, who will work to prevent wrongful convictions before it's too late, and we have people serving time in jail for crimes that they didn't commit. So Texas, let's get ready to go all the way. Early voting begins October 13th. And with the elimination of straight ticket voting, it's important now more than ever that we know the names of those judges and justices who aim to empower our communities on the highest courts of Texas. Judges like Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizell, Judge Tina Clinton, Judge Brandon Birmingham, Judge Stacey Williams, Justice Gisela, Triana, Judge Amy Clark Meachum, and Attorney Kathy Chang. You don't want to miss their names on that ballot. Judge Frizell, thank you for being you and for answering the call to serve. You were a role model to me and so many of us. So y'all, in addition to voting, let's donate. I donated tonight. Did you? No amount is too small. We know that times are tough, but together we can make the difference to make sure these judges and justices have everything they need to make sure that they get to that highest court. Judge Frizell is qualified, she's experienced, and she is ready to go all the way. So Texas, let's vote blue all the way through. If you want fairness, justice, and integrity, Frizell is the only way to go. So let's go all the way and let's take her to the highest court. She will make sure that all of our voices are heard because now is our time. Vote Judge Elizabeth Davis Frizell, Court of Criminal Appeals, State of Texas.
All right. Woo!
Wow.
Love you, Soror.
Wow.
Love you, Soror. Thank thank you, thank you. She's powerful. She's our future. Y'all keep your eyes on that name. You're going to hear more about it in the future. Carvana Cloud. You watch me. You'll say, oh, I heard about her on Judge Frizell's Zoom. Yeah, there you go. This is our future right here. We're presenting it to you. There you go.
Great place. It's a great place to be presented. God bless you all.
And I promise we did not pay her to say all that. Awesome job, Ms. Cloud. All right, guys. Once again, I reiterate, this is a fundraiser. Please give if you can. And on that note, let's segue into the next part.
But the change starts with you. The change starts with you, and the change starts with you. So be that change. Don't be the person that looks on the news and says, boy, I'm sure tired of this police brutality. Don't be the person that looks on Facebook and says, look at all these wrongful convictions through DNA after someone served 20 years in the penitentiary. We can make sure we get it right in sentencing. We can have excellence in the highest criminal court in the state of Texas. We can excel. With who? Let's go all the way. Go all the way. Let's go all the way.
Wow. Every time I watch that video, I remember I forgot what it was like to actually be around people. Raise your hand if you feel that. Oh my God. All right, guys, we have some wonderful speakers still lined up. Next up, we have Travis Mason. He is the founder of the nonprofit organization, Story to It. Are you ready, Travis?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, the floor is yours.
How everybody doing tonight? Good to be here. Hello, Ms. Frizell. Let's go all the way. This election is important to me.
Let's go, Travis.
This election is important to me because inside, coming from where you witness and see all the injustice that goes on, and I'm from a small community, Dangerfield, Texas, which is Morris County. That's close by Titus County, Gregg County, all those counties. And I know a lot of guilty people, but I know a lot of innocent people as well. So in order to want the change, you have to be the change. So I'm only taking a stand for my audience, the people that can relate. And if it's one that can come and join me on this walk, or two, even the better, because that's, as we multiply, that's taking a stand. And so taking a stand, it has showed me just the confidence, though, when you're serious about making a change. Because when I met Elizabeth, it was during the time when I was, I got arrested, wrongfully arrested. And when I called her, we talked. The first, what's mostly important, wasn't about no money. It wasn't about no color. It wasn't about no politics, but it was about justice. It was about facts. And just to have someone to believe in you and go all the way, because I was also facing 2 years for standing up for what was right. And we made history in that county for everything, the charges, false charges, to get dismissed. And that just showed me Miss Elizabeth character, because she was passionate more about the justice, the cause, and taking that and the bravery on us, on both parties, on both sides. But all the way to the distance, a year and a half, without giving up, without doubt, we made an agreement. We're gonna take this walk together with no doubts, though. Cause I let her know. I said, I don't have none. You have any? She said, no. Well, let's go all the way. So I understand what Judge Frizell, former Judge Frizell, coming from, because she walks that. She's not just saying that. I didn't get paid to come on here. I was invited, and it was an honor because she's really about what she's speaking. She walked it. She's tough. She's going to go all the way, not just on a color behalf or a gender behalf, but for the cause. And I just want to say thank you. You know, we're going all the way. We're going to win this, Judge Frizell. And
Yes, we are.
I'm supporting the whole campaign and others. If you're from East Texas, let's take a stand. Judge Frizell, vote blue all the way down, and we're good, Democrat. And
And
all good
Travis,
luck to
tell them
all the
about
judges.
your mentoring foundation that you just started, Travis.
Yes, ma'am. Story
There's
to
a
it.
story to it.
It's a story to it, which means it's a story to it. Life. We all have a testimony, turning a negative into a positive. And it's a lot of my program helped those who been through suffered suicide for as the thoughts and lost a family member behind it. We help the homelessness and inmates that are getting out of jail to get back on their feet and get back to working again. So we can put more families back in the households together so we can help with what's going on within the youth, because it's a big issue right now. In the court system, the criminal was we going through this injustice that's going on has a lot to do with that, because there's a lot of innocent fathers have been broken that are incarcerated behind the effects of it. So if we all take a stand, we can make a big difference. Support Judge Frizell campaign, story to it. You can look me up on social media. And I thank you all.
Thank you, Travis. Proud of you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Story to it, guys. I included the link in the chat room, just so everybody, if you're not really paying attention, when every speaker comes up, I'm actually putting their information into the chat window. So if you would like to connect with any of our speakers at any given time, just check the chat for their direct links to their campaigns or organizations. Next up, we have Dr. Shirley McKellar. Are you in the house, Dr. Shirley McKellar? I know you're calling in via phone. Which number is yours, Dr. McKellar? Are you still on the call? She's not here? Okay.
While we're trying to get Dr. McKellar on, I want my friend. There she is. There she is.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Dr. McKellar, welcome.
Yes.
She is the councilwoman, City of Tyler, District 3, and she is also the president of the East Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. You have the floor, Dr. McKellar.
Thank you. First, let me say greetings to each of you from the Rose Capital of the world. We also have our SDEC committee woman, Dr. Nancy Nichols, that's on with us tonight covering East Texas. And so I want to say greetings to each of you. I am so excited to have all of these great candidates that's running in our judiciary system here. One of the things that we need to change so greatly, it's unbelievable. America, as you know, is in a crisis, and I'm not just talking about the pandemic crisis. I'm talking about the crisis of racism, the crisis of COVID. Listen, so many crises, so many issues, and I was impressed to listen to the young man talking about what our amazing sorority sister did for him, worked with him in order to help him to work out his issues within the criminal justice system. We need so many more Elizabeth Frizells, and looks like we have them with Judge Stacey Williams and all the others that have been mentioned here tonight. And so I just want everybody to know that we are here to work with getting all of these Ds elected. I think about how my ancestors, my father, my grandfather, and all of the people here in East Texas who worked with less and did more. And so we have more and we can do so much more. And so I expect us to do so much more. I remember them working with the churches, and we talked about this on our call today on my radio show. We do 3 radio shows per week. And today we talked about the fact that we can go back to our churches. That's where African Americans used to make things happen, and that's what we're going to do. The pastors and the preachers are all gathering in here together in East Texas, making sure that we get our people to the polls. So we're going to get those SOLES and those put on our shoes with the good souls and get those SOULS to the polls starting October the 13th. We're not going to let Abbott or 45 or anybody preclude us from getting where we need to be. So I thank you once again for inviting me on, and just know that East Texas is ready. And let me just tell each of you that you cannot win a statewide seat unless you come through East Texas, because my favorite slogan when I was running for Congress, so goes East Texas, so goes Texas. You better stop by East Texas and see us. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. McKellar. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, my great sorority sister. Thank you.
Thank you, Sora.
All right, next up, we have Dr. Donald Parker. Dr. Parker, are you in the, oh, there you are.
I'm in the house.
Let me get you highlighted. Dr. Donald Parker is the Inclusive Access Coordinator and full-time professor at Houston Community College. Welcome, Dr. Parker. You have the floor.
Thank you, Adora. Hey, everybody, I just want you to know how important it is for us to get out and vote, and to encourage everyone in our sphere, within our sphere, and encourage them to get out and vote. We can't leave one vote left on the table. As we saw, President Trump won many states on very few votes when we didn't get out and vote. So I just want to encourage you to do that. We can't stop at the top in Texas, but we got to go all the way to the bottom and look for those who will spread love and not hate, as some of the elected officers that we have at this present time. So this is not about our today, it's not about our tomorrow, but it's about our children's future. When we look at our children's future, we have to look at somebody like Elizabeth Frizell. This is a young lady I've known for 35 years. When I say a person whose reputation, whose character is impeccable, cannot be questioned. She has a heart of compassion. She is a very loving person. She is a mother of 2 scholars and a wife. When I tell you, this is somebody who not only cares about individuals, this is not somebody who just cares about families, but she cares about her community. When I tell you, this young lady volunteers all the time with the very little spare time that she has. Not only does she volunteer, but she always is seeking out those of lesser socioeconomic status to help them to come to her office or to her court and mentors them, to give them hope, to let them know that there's a tomorrow and that there's a better way. So what I want you to know is that we have to look at the content and the character of everybody who's running for these elections, and that we have to start spreading love. When you look at Justice Scalia and you look at Justice Ginsburg, when we have diversity and we have the meeting of the minds, we can start to get a diverse and a change in the thought pattern of those around us. We have to get more diversity on the court. It's not black, white, it's not female, male, but it's about a thought process, having a higher calling and knowing that we got to have compassionate law administered in Texas. Libby, I love you. I wish you the best. Go all the way to the top. We can't stop now, because we know we're going to sell with Frizell and everybody else who's on the Democratic ticket. Thank you for inviting me.
PVU, you know.
You know.
And you better get all those KA side noobs to get out there to the polls. And
Yo, baby. Actually, I got to leave for another conference call to deal with them.
Yo, no.
Thank you, Dr. Parker.
All right, y'all have a blessed night, and please support Libby all the way to the top.
Yes. Once again, everybody, please remember that this is a fundraiser. We cannot do it. She cannot win this race without your support. So give a donation. The Frizell campaign is on Cash App. So give 5, 10, 25. If you're giving under $100, go to Cash App, send that money right now. If you are giving over $100, please check the link in the chat. We cannot do it without you. You can order yard signs. You can order road signs. You can get your custom mask. Yes, by the Chosen Closet. You can also order literature. The form was updated today so that you can order literature. So if you want push cards, door hangers, anything that you need in order to get out the vote, we can get it to you. You just got to let us know we need to get it to you. All right.
And the Cash App is E Frizell, $, E Frizell. Don't forget that $sign for all those dollars.
CC83. You got to get the E Frizell
CC83,
Liz. Yes. we don't need them sending money to somebody else, Liz. Judge Frizell. We need the money to come to our campaign. All right. So last up, we have Angelina Buck. Is Angelina on the call? Where are you, Angelina? Is Angelina still on the call? Did we lose her? It's been a lot
while Angelina's trying to get logged back in, let me tell you about Dr. Buck. Dr. Buck is a principal in Midland, Texas. When I got my name on the ballot, you have to get 50 signatures out of each Court of Appeals district throughout the state of Texas. There are 14 of them. And I went to Midland, Texas. I didn't know Dr. Buck, but somebody told me you don't get through Midland without Dr. Buck. And I went to her house and I talked to her and I gave her her speech on her door. I gave her my speech on her doorstep. And then I found out all the different contacts she had in Midland, Texas. She is a fighter for justice. And she does so much for those kids in the school system. If every teacher, every mother, every father, every person who could touch a child did what Dr. Buck does, I'd be out of business. I wouldn't have anybody in my criminal courts. So I appreciated her so much. And she not only signed my petition, but she said, leave some petitions with me and I'm gonna get you 50 more signatures. You'll be done in this particular district. And I appreciated that. We stayed in contact. And those are the type of contacts you have to make throughout the state of Texas. You have to let people know that you're a fighter for justice. And sometimes we have people like you tuning in. I see you, Mark Hepburn. I see you, Mark. You still here? Dr. Buck, who understand the fight and know we can't just protest. It's like my president, Barack Obama. That's my president, Barack Obama. He said, don't just boo, vote. Somebody said something in one of his speeches and they were booing for his opponent. They're like, oh, boo, we need justice. And he said, don't boo, vote. So I said, don't just protest. And I'm all for protesting. I've been a part of them. Don't just protest, vote. Don't just complain, vote. Don't just turn your TV on and hate what you're seeing and think, man, somebody ought to do something about this. Well, that somebody is you. The cavalry is not coming. The cavalry is you. You are here to help me. And together, we can help Texas have a fair justice system.
All right, thank you, Judge Frizell. So now we're gonna go to the Q&A for you. You get the open floor. You have one question that was posed in the chat. And the question is, can the Court of Appeals, this is from June Johnson, by the way, so June, this is your question if you're listening. Can the Court of Appeals refuse to hear a case? Is there a jury for the Court of Appeal?
Wow, that's a great question. There is no jury. There are judges, and there are a couple ways that the judges hear the case. You have en banc cases, which just means all of the justices, there are 9 on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. And then you have cases that are heard per curiam. Per curiam means that 3 judges hear that case and make the decision, so it would be the majority out of the 3. We cannot refuse to hear a death penalty case. There are some appellate cases that we do not hear, and that was one of the concerns that I have. Not just the cases that we don't hear, but we have what we call 1107 writs. Writs or writ of habeas corpus, that just means an order where you're holding someone wrongfully. So a defense attorney can file a writ of habeas corpus, and it's 1107 writ, and we hear that case, and it's we call it an out of time appeal. That means you have 30 days to appeal. After that 30 days, you can no longer appeal, but you can file a writ. Those writs are backed up. There are thousands of them. And I can only imagine how many are waiting now after the COVID pandemic. We have to increase our hours that we work. We have to increase the cases that we hear. And do you know that the Court of Criminal Appeals doesn't even have to issue a reason for their rulings on these writs? Can you imagine that? You get a ruling, you don't agree with it, and you're sitting there for months, years, maybe the rest of your life wondering, why did the judges rule in this way? Well, I want to change that. I want to make sure that we actually issue rulings and reasons for our rulings. Even if someone disagrees with it, at least they know our rationale, our thinking as judges on the highest criminal court and why we ruled in that way. That's something that is within our discretion. It hasn't been done in all cases in the past, but I think that's a practice we need to change. So that's a good question, June. We have to hear death penalty cases. And I know some of you have heard about cases of people in the penitentiary. Some of them have been on the news, been Spencer, and there have been other cases. I might preside over those cases after I win November the 3rd. So I won't comment directly on those cases, but anyone you know that's on death row and you think they didn't do it, anyone you know that may not be on death row, but they're still in the penitentiary, they can still file an 1107 writ. And I would hear that. Judge Birmingham would hear that. Judge Tina U. Clinton would hear that. We need fair judges on the bench, and we're on the way to do that. When you tell everybody about this meeting you were here on tonight, this hasn't been a waste of your time, and it most definitely wasn't an accident that you tuned in today. Please go and tell 10 other people we've got to vote. We've got to vote in great numbers because we can change it on November the 3rd.
Awesome, Judge Frizell. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we have finished with all of our speakers for tonight. So Judge Frizell, you want to wrap us up?
Well, I'm just going to close it out very briefly. First of all, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for being informed voters, wanting to know who's on your ballot. At the beginning of this call, you probably couldn't name anyone on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals or on the Supreme Court. And as much as you've heard about gerrymandering, where they stuff everybody in one district so you just get one representative, when it really, if it was a fair map, would have been spread out where you can get 2 or 3 representatives. This is the year of the census. Make sure you fill out your census so they know how many people need to be represented. So maybe we don't just get 1 representative. Maybe we get 2. Maybe we get 3 or 4. Things are changing. And I know over the last 10 years, between now and the last census, a lot of the numbers have changed. So it's very important that we know who's on our Supreme Court. Just Judge Stacey Williams, she and I started to serve many years ago as municipal court judges. We did our work. We got the experience. We did our homework. We started as municipal court judges, then county court, district court. Now she's ready and willing to serve on the highest Supreme Court in the state of Texas. She'll be the first African-American female ever on that court. We have Justice Gisela Triana that you heard from before, the first Latina. We have Judge Amy Clark Meachum that you heard from earlier, who'll be the first female as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Her opponent has been there for over 30 years. Really? I don't know anybody that can stay in the same position when we have judges that are ruling in the way that they rule right now. We have Kathy Chang. She couldn't join us. She had some other commitments. She'll be the first Asian American on the Supreme Court. That's before you get to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. Judge Brandon Birmingham, who spoke earlier, Judge Tina U. Clinton, who spoke earlier, will be serving alongside with me, and we're going to help make justice fair. Do you know the current Texas Court of Criminal Appeals said it was okay for a defense attorney to sleep during a trial of their clients when their client is on death row? They're up for the death penalty, and the defense lawyer is asleep. And the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals reviews that case and says, well, that's okay. They weren't asleep during a critical stage of the trial. Really? If I'm on trial for the death penalty or anything else, every stage is critical. Do you know our current Texas Court of Criminal Appeals said it's okay if someone files a writ at the last minute because someone's going to be put to death, where there's evidence that they didn't commit the offense, they said, nope, our cutoff was 5 o'clock and you're here at 5:15, so go ahead and put them to death. Are you kidding me? This is what we have on this court. But there hasn't been a Democrat to run against them in over 22 years. So they've gotten a little comfortable, but I'm here to make them a little uncomfortable. They need to justify their rulings. They need to have fair rulings. And I don't think that's okay. They've even ruled that it's okay to put someone to death with intellectual and mental disabilities. The Supreme Court said that's unconstitutional. And they had to send the case back and say, no, no, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, you're not following the law. And you can't do that. And we remand for another trial. They did the trial again and again. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals said, no, that's okay. Go ahead and put him to death, even though he has mental disabilities. And the Supreme Court, again, in Bobby Moore v. State of Texas, they said, we just told you can't do that. That's unconstitutional. What other state has judges on the highest criminal court that the Supreme Court of the United States has to force them to follow the law? Well, we've got to get rid of them in the state of Texas, and we will on November the 3rd. You know, somebody mentioned how hard I work, and I've been here to help so many people because this is a calling for me. And I take this time out from my family, my kids, my husband, because I know some people don't have a mom, dad like I had, a husband, kids like I have, and I want to make sure that it's fair. I've got my husband here. He's been listening in. He always wonders, where do I get all of this energy to do all of this? And I want to say thank you publicly to Marvin Frizell for sharing me with the state of Texas and allowing me to run all of these times. This will be my 4th term in office when I win November 3rd, my 4th term. Thank you, Marvin Frizell. Here he is.
Oh, you wear your mask. Yay! You wearing your mask.
Thank you, and thank you for tuning in. I'll see you at the polls.
So Judge Frizell, hold on. Judge Frizell, we have one more question in the chat before you run out of here. So the next question we have for you is, Judge Frizell, where do you stand on starting at the root of the issue, which involves the bail system and lack of proper representation when it comes to public defenders? That was from Mr. Baden.
Oh, that's an excellent question. Here's where I stand. On bonds, I have seen so many clients over the last, and not just my clients, just defendants in court over the last 27 years, get stuck in jail and they can't get out because they don't have money. And the reason they're not getting out is not because society won't be safe or because they shouldn't be free on bond until they can have a trial to see whether or not they committed the offense. They just don't have the money. I've seen people have judges reduce their bonds 2 and 3 times because they know the facts dictate that they should be free, but they still don't have the money to get out. You see, bail bonds shouldn't be based on money. It should be based on the facts of the case. The Texas Code of Criminal Procedure says it should be based on your ties to the community, whether you would abscond and never come back for court or whether you would, whether you've lived there, born there, raised there, go to school there, work there, have a family there. We should look at the facts of the case, whether you have a previous criminal offense. But even though the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure lays out all of those parameters, we still base it on money. At the end of my hearings as a judge, after I listen to all those facts of the case, I still have to put a dollar amount on it. And I've seen people with a lot of money get out, even though they had $1 million bond. They had so much money they could post that $100,000 bond. Most bonding companies charge you 10%. So you have people that are out that shouldn't be, and society's not safe because they're out, but they have money. You have people that are in that should be out because everybody, including the judge and the prosecutor, thinks they should be out. So that's why the bond was lowered, but they're still in because they don't have money. But what I will pledge to you is I will follow the law on the highest criminal court. Unless or until that law is changed, I will follow it. But judges have a lot of discretion. I will use it to be fair to both sides. I don't think there's a prosecutor or defense lawyer that's come before me that didn't say, I tried to just cut it straight down the middle and be fair. Even though I've been a defense lawyer for many years, I started off with the Department of Justice. I understand both sides. I want to be fair to the state and the defense. And that's what I'll do in service to you on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place 3.
All right, Judge Frizell, thank you so much. And thanks everyone who tuned in to Who is on Your Texas Ballot. I hope you learned something. Once again, check the chat for all the links on how you can look up your candidate ballot wherever you are in the state of Texas. And don't forget, vote Judge Elizabeth Frizell for criminal. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place
3.
3.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go all the way.
Let's go all the way.
All
Let's
the
go all the way.
So I started at the lowest court, and now I'm going to the highest court. Take me to the highest court.
All right, good night.